Chapter 2, World 227. The one with the superest Harry of them all, A.K., looked up at the size of the manor before him. It was almost sickening in its opulence. Why anyone would want a home the size of Hogwarts, A would never understand. The ornately designed front doors were sparkling with encrusted jewels and gold in a stylized large letter P.A.K. Took one step towards the house, and a young man popped directly in front of him, holding his wand straight at A.K. Saw the fire and intensity in his eyes as the young man was reacting to a perceived threat. It brought a smile to a K. Scarred face. Afternoon, Harry. Quite a place you've got here. Who are you? And how did you get past the blood wards? A.K. shrugged. You're hopefully a brave kid. You tell me. How would I get past the blood wards? Harry looked to both sides, wondering why his protection griffins and dragons hadn't prevented this man from entering. He considered what it would take to get past the blood wards, and came to the only conclusion he could given the striking similarities between himself and this stranger. His wand dropped to the side as his eyes welled up with unshed tears. Dad? A.K. snorted and shook his head. No, you stupid orphan. A.K. chuckled before raising his hands as Harry pointed his wand back at him. Hold on now, Harry. My story isn't always the most believable, but it's a lot easier if we're sitting down having drinks. Harry steadied his wand and stared the man down. Tell me why I shouldn't strike you down and kill you right now. A.K. looked in Harry's eyes and shrugged. Because you're not capable of that kind of killing, and because I'm only here to help you kill Voldemort, something you seem to have not done yet and need some help with. Harry didn't flinch. And what makes you think I have to kill Voldemort? I could be wrong on this one, Akka explained, but I'm guessing it's because he marked you as his equal, and you will have a power the Dark Lord knows not. Harry's eyes flared as a mysterious wind started up, blowing his cloak out behind him and sent his hair rippling. Who told you that? A.K. shrugged. An Albus Dumbledore you've never met. Like I said, it's a good sitting and drinking sort of explanation. A.K. was looking over Harry's shoulder at the massive 8-story mansion. Or who else you got shacked up in this little place with you? Harry lowered his wand again, sensing only truth and no threat from his mysterious visitor. No one but me, the house elves, and the portraits. I frowned as he followed Harry up towards the home and into a comfortable-looking den. Shit, Harry! Just you and a bunch of people watching you sleep and bathe! That's not healthy! What the hell are you doing here? Harry handed an old bottle of scotch and helped himself to a chilled butterbeer. Well, it mainly started at the beginning of summer when I decided I wasn't going to just blindly let others run my life anymore. I snuck out from under the Order's nose. Harry stopped. Wait a sec. You're not in the Order, are you? A.K. shook his head. Not any order you know, or that matters to you, nope. But I know about the old man's secret sect of the Flaming Penguins that's been guarding and spying on you. Right, Harry continued. So I wanted to go do some shopping, you know. Get clothes that fit me, some books to study, maybe a magical trunk. Okay. Nodded sadly, amazingly enough. I do know. So I went to Gringotts to get some money, Harry continued. And they wondered why I hadn't responded to the inquiries about Sirius's will. A.K. rolled his eyes. At least you can talk about him without breaking down. Yes, well, Harry blushed. It was a lot harder before I talked to his portrait, but I'm fine now. Don't say fine kid, insisted. Bitches won't believe you, and they'll slap you for it. Make up some shit like I'm not there yet, but I'm getting better. People eat that stuff up. Harry looked at a KK, oddly, before taking out a small personal journal and writing that tidbit of wisdom down. Oh, Satan on a stick, A.K. mumbled. It's the buck-toothed buckwheat. What was that? Harry asked, looking up from his hasty scribbling. Nothing, A.K. said. Please continue. Pentfoot's will, I think you said. Maybe he left you documents emancipating you because he cared so much and was always known for thinking ahead. Yeah. Harry smiled. How'd you know? Griphook told me he'd get it taken care of quietly at the ministry. Was sipping his scotch, hearing the same old song and dance. I can just imagine how surprised Griphook must have been. A high and mighty wizard asking for a meagre goblin by mere name. Shocking. Harry frowned. I didn't actually see him. I just asked for him by name, since he was the first goblin I thought of and I needed a new account manager that didn't report to Dumbledore. Oh, okay. Nodded. Makes sense. So Sirius Will, Emancipation, Portrait, and what else we got? Family Vault? Harry shook his head. No, I mean, yes, but that's not what's important. My parents' will hinted about Dad's heritage, so I had the goblins check out if I was the last heir to any other vaults. Okay, but not hopefully at that. Harry nodded. Yup, on my dad's side, I'm descended from Godric Gryffindor. Aye, Kay pumped his fist. Yes! Harry smiled proudly. And on my mum's side, she apparently was from a long line of squibs and left me the heir to Merlin. Abe shook his head in disbelief every time it happened. Inexplicable powers were always the best sorts of powers. And so far, you've found this means. Well, apparently Merlin made a prophecy when he died about an heir that would become greater than every other wizard that ever existed since the dawn of time. Bind. And this is you because Merlin visited me in my dream as soon as I knew I was descended from him. Harry nodded. Well, actually, it was Godric visiting me in my dream, telling me about my heritage and where to find Gryffindor Palace, and right there into my hazy dream, Merlin pops in saying he was supposed to be visiting me in my dream. Those two had a little tizy fit about who would do what, and eventually began working together. When I got here to Gryffindor Palace, the big G in jewels reformed into a P, and all the guardians came before me and bowed. Aye, Kay nodded solemnly. It wouldn't be an inherited and abandoned massive mansion turned palace home without some dangerous beasts bowing to you. Harry had to agree with that, and nodded. And so since then I've been training with the help of portraits of all four founders, Merlin, and dozens of famous potters, including my folks and Sirius. You're more powerful than every wizard ever, combined. And your training? Asked uncertainly. Of course, Harry explained. All this power doesn't do me a lick of good if I don't know how to use it. Just shook his head at how stupid Harry Potters can be. You mind if I give something a try? Harry smiled. Go ahead. Avada Kedavra! A.K. snapped out with his wand aimed at Harry. Harry just smiled and watched the spell smack into his chest and bounce off with a high-pitched clink. Harry grinned. Doesn't even tickle anymore. Okay. Smiled and sat back down, enjoying his scotch. All right, please continue with your fascinating and refreshingly original tale. Harry gave a cack, an odd look, before writing something else down in his journal. He looked up briefly. Didn't I finish it? Okay. Blinked a bit at Harry. Oh, no mention about how you're going to explain having house elves to Hermione, or how much you've begun to enjoy exchanging letters with Hermione. Harry blushed at the reminder of his last letter from Hermione. He definitely needed to check out the prefect's bathroom, now that he could see through solid objects. She understands house elves better now, and I've freed the 137 that work here. And come to think of it, Hedwig took her a letter a few days ago. I was hoping she might have replied and be back soon. Asked, thinking this sounded surprisingly realistic. Harry nodded. So she's not a phoenix, Hedwig? No, she's... Harry was interrupted by a white flash of fire as Hedwig the Phoenix triumphantly appeared, trilling a song of hope and healing that sounded eerily like Linkin Park, Avril Lavigne, and Simple Plan doing a medley. Harry smiled in pure joy, unable to come up with words wonderful enough to describe what he was feeling. Hedwig, that was... A.K. smiled and added, but impeccable timing. Hedwig chirped at A.K. and settled herself onto Harry's shoulder. Harry relaxed into the comfort of his new phoenix. Don't nap on me. Dragging Harry's attention. You were going to explain how the no. It all has taught you how to love not just others, but yourself. She's not a no. It all, Harry frowned and insisted. She just tells me what I feel, what to do, and she's never yet been wrong. That doesn't mean you should be calling her names. Heavily considered smacking Harry. Being way more intelligent than everyone else is a burden she must shoulder. Harry explained. "If Ron and I had any sense of priorities, we'd be studying as much as she does and probably be a lot better off because of it. Ron asked curiously, "Doesn't he like Hermione in that monster, in his chest sort of way?" Harry smiled patronizingly at AK. "Ron's a good friend, but he and Hermione always argue. Without me to act as a buffer, they'd never be able to get along." Shrugged back. "I would disagree unless she's gotten too breathtakingly gorgeous for him. Otherwise, those two have worked together pretty well in many of the times I've met them." "What do you mean?" AK sat back and explained. "The short of it is that I'm Harry Potter, but this isn't my world. This is yours. That's why your wards don't stop me. I go by the name of a K to avoid confusion and hop to different worlds, helping them out with their Voldemort problems." Took a swig of his scotch. "Now that's why I know Ron and Hermione can work together. I've seen them together more than I've seen them apart. Of course, nearly the only times they're apart is when Harry is with Hermione. But I'm Harry," Harry said with all the conviction of a frightened first year. "Right?" He paused and then added, "Or are you?" Kay shook his head. "Never mind. You definitely need someone to do your thinking for you. And if you're more powerful than every wizard ever," Combined, Harry jumped in to remind him. Combined, AK agreed with a roll of his eyes. "Then you need someone boring to keep you in check. The Hermione is perfect for that." Kay paused and imagined, "Though I would be curious how this world would hold up if it were Luna in charge of your every action and emotion." "Luna?" Harry asked, disgusted. "She's like a sister." Kay had heard enough. "All right, Harry, here's the thing. You can defeat Voldemort. Easily. I'm sure of it. But what you lack is confidence as well as certainty. And that's what I'm for. I can make sure Voldemort is really dead and not coming back. Okay?" And nodded, trusting his own instincts on this one. "First, let's try something simple," AK instructed. "Are you better with your wand or wandlessly?" Harry waved his wand in the air. "This is just a muggle pencil transfigured to look like a wand." Considered asking Harry what a magical pencil would be like, but decided this was not the time for extraneous information. "All right, whatever works for you. Now go ahead and summon Voldemort's head. Don't go ahead and summon Voldemort's head. Just his head." Harry nodded resolutely and raised his hand in the air. He was focusing on the summoning spell and was about to yell out the spell to add more juice to it when there was a loud crash. Harry had enough time to recognize the severed head that came flying through the nearby window and was about to smack him in the face. Harry ducked and yelped as it flew over him and hit the wall with a fleshy splat. "Nice work, Kay insisted as he hurried over to the bloody head, stuck with a surprised look on its face. Kay lifted it up into the air and announced, "Check it out. You marked it as your equal." Harry's eyebrows rose to see the glass of the window had cut Voldemort's forehead in the unmistakable shape of a lightning bolt. "That's a good sign. But sadly this killed only his body. It didn't destroy Voldemort. I don't think we're quite at the vanquished point yet, but I think you've got some more power still left in you," smiled. "All right then. This one is Ancient Light Magic Battle Spell. It only works on really evil people, and if you're doing it in the best interests of all that's good and pure." Harry agreed immediately, knowing some things had to be done for the good of everyone. "Now you need to focus on completely eradicating Voldemort's soul and making sure he never can come back again. You wish that in your head over and over again, until you know for a fact it is true. When you reach that point of complete control and absolute certainty, raise both of your hands and cast Gluteus Maximus." "Think you can handle that?" Harry considered and figured it was worth a shot. "I'll try my best. That's all I'd ever ask," I.K. managed to say with a straight face. Harry closed his eyes in concentration, wishing and wishing like he'd been told. He was sweating heavily and chewing on his lip, trying to accomplish this ancient light magic. After several minutes of silence other than A.K. sipping lazily on his drink, Harry exhaled loudly. "I don't know if I can do it. I'm having trouble with this one." Choked a little on his drink. "Come on, Harry! What would Hermione say to you giving up on a spell? You think she'd ever want to be with someone who can't cast Gluteus Maximus?" Harry's eyes flared with power. "I'm not giving up yet." Harry clenched his eyes shut again and focused even harder this time. "Okay," looked over at Harry, who was now groaning in concentration. He was hoping Harry didn't need to use the bathroom, because if it did, Harry's large intestine was probably cooking diamonds about now. Just then, Harry's body relaxed as he thrust his hands into the air and yelled out Gluteus Maximus. "AK!" smiled. "It worked!" Harry gasped and thrust his hand to his forehead. "My scar! It's all tingly." Looked around Harry's hand. "Yup, it's fading away. Probably won't even leave a mark." "Congrats, Harry! You won!" "He's gone?" Harry asked hopefully. "He's really gone." "Oh." Nodded. "You!" Silently added to himself that it had never succeeded before now either. Harry grabbed onto Hedwig and hugged his phoenix happily. "Oh, this wonderful! I promised myself I couldn't ask Hermione out until Voldemort was gone, and now he is. I wonder if I should go tell her the good news. Do you think she might be busy? I wouldn't want to surprise her in case she's showering. Do you think she's showering? Do you think she showers naked? I wonder—" grumbled as he stood up. "Thanks for the scotch, Harry." He hurriedly cast the magic to leave this world and disappeared unnoticed to Harry, who was just staring off into space, wondering if Hermione would like a pair of shower slippers that would unclog the drain for her. He remembered her mentioning something about a beaver dam. The one with not enough magic eyes. As soon as he arrived, he kept his eyes peeled for a threat, but couldn't identify. It was just a feeling of complete and utter wrongness. He turned around and felt incredibly ill at the sight before him. "Oh, my God!" An odd-looking Colin Creevey came running over with, oddly enough, a pencil he was chewing on. "That look! That cloak! Those scars! They look so real, raw!" Colin snapped playfully at AK. Colin spun around dramatically cheering. "Please, darling, you have completely outdone yourself. This is simply magnificent. Oh, you stop." "I do what I can." AK slowly walked up to the stage and approached a scrawny, ragamuffin-looking boy with dark hair and vivid green eyes. He was almost afraid to ask. "Yes, Harry Potter." "AK!" double-checked. The young man, doing his best to look like a little boy, nodded fervently. "That's me! What can I do for?" Harry gasped and clutched his hands together. "Oh, my God! Are you from the talent agency?" Just shook his head in fear. "Nope, sorry." Harry sagged in disappointment. "No worries. Unless you needed something, I should get back to practice." Kay slowly backed away. "No, no." Turned around right into a familiar, pale white, noseless, hairless face. "Not one to miss an opportunity." He whipped out his wand. "Avada Kedavra!" The incredibly odd-looking Voldemort squealed in fright, flailing his arms a bit, and fell to the ground just as the spell flew over his head, impacting the man behind him. "Professor Snape!" "Draco Malfoy, half-dressed in a Voldemort-looking cape!" exclaimed, hurrying over to the man who got hit with the errant spell. "Voldemort jumped up right in Kay's face. Where the hell did you get off firing, you freaky ray gun at me?" He was clutching his chest in fright and breathing heavily. "My nerves are now shot to hell." "I hope you're happy. Oh, God damn it! Where's our new choreographer?" Okay, saw Draco struggling to wake up the eerie sight of Professor Snape with a cardigan tied around his neck. "Wait!" Voldemort shrieked and turned back to AK and tilted his head. "Are you the new choreographer? Is that what that was? A test of my reflexes? Because, like, seriously, man, I can do Su-Oo much better next time. Really, I was just focusing on my character and blocking out the outside world, you know. I mean, I was totally in the middle of a lemon face." Just flinched at the sight of a Voldemort in makeup trying to pucker. "Lion face! Roar!" Voldemort continued with a disturbingly unfierce look. "Wait!" AK interrupted, fearful of what might happen next. "What the bloody hell is going on? Who are you?" Voldemort smiled brightly and took a step back. With a large flourish and a shake of his jazz hands, he proudly exclaimed, "I am Big Daddy Voldemort. just stared at him incredulously. Voldemort's smile faltered, and he continued to explain. Big Daddy Voldemort, you know, the villain in our end of term production. He swung his arms wildly in all directions when he saw was still confused. Hello? Do you know anything? I'm easily the second biggest part, the antagonist to our title character protagonist, little orphan Harry. I mean, come on, work with me here. Voldemort got a worried look on his pasty white made-up face. He carefully inched closer towards AK until he could safely whisper, Are you okay? AK snapped out of it and shook his head in hopes that the crazy might fling off. It didn't. But I mean, who are you under the makeup? Who's playing the character of Big Dar? You know what? I can't even say it. Who's playing the character of you-know-who? Voldemort flung his hand to his forehead dramatically. Oh, sorry. I completely went off on you there, didn't I? Wee. Look at the crazy man right here. Wee. Who? My apologies. I'm Tom Riddle, he explained, shaking our car. Just shook hands and thought he might want to get some pictures to share with future Death Eaters and Tom Riddles he would undoubtedly run into. AK looked over his shoulder as he heard Draco Malfoy's gratingly irritating voice screeching, Headmaster! Headmaster! Professor Snape won't wake up! I don't think I feel a pulse! Voldemort sighed melodramatically. He mock-whispered to Personally, I think it's more likely the little drama queen just can't count to 0. Tried to chuckle at that, but it came out more as a whimper. Voldemort nodded and pointed. That's Draco Malfoy, my understudy. I wouldn't put it past him to try and poison me just to get the part. Nasty, catty bitch through and through, just like his father. Nodded weakly, not sure if he really wanted to agree with that. Finally, his brain muscles began to snap. What the hell is this place? What's going on here? That is exactly what I would like to know, a firm, imposing voice intoned as he approached her. I am the headmaster of this institution, and I would like to know why you felt the need to blast a member of my faculty with your ray gun, Dumbledore. AK asked the elderly man in tights with the really bad peppered goatee. The headmaster nodded. That's correct. Now, please explain to me what has happened and exactly why I shouldn't call the police right now. Okay, looked around oddly. Dear Satan, are you all? We very well might be, but that depends on what you mean by the word muggle. AK slapped his forehead in dawning comprehension. Of course! Wait! So where the hell are we right now? The headmaster was growing irritated at the lack of answers to his questions. This is the Hogwarts School of Ballet, and you are quickly wearing out your welcome, avoiding all of my questions. Kay's jaw just dropped for a moment before he clamped it shut. You'll have to excuse me as I throw up in my mouth for a moment here. The headmaster narrowed his eyes. Should I call for the school nurse? Do I need to be worried about the health of my dog crow's eurythmics instructor? After re-swallowing the bile in his mouth, Kay smiled and shook his head. Nope, you don't need to worry about his health at all, the headmaster sighed with relief. So what is that ray gun thing? Oh, this! Okay, said, showing off his wand. It's still under secret government testing. I can't say too much about it, but the professor is in no danger. He'll be in as perfect health as everyone else around here in just a couple days, but I'm afraid he won't be waking up before then. The headmaster frowned. Oh, dear. He looked around at all the scrambling young dancers. He looked at Kate. Hopefully, I don't suppose you're familiar with Dorcrow's rhythmics by chance. Kate grinned. In fact, I'm a master of the craft, but I have a previous engagement I must enter first. Shrugged. I really need to get a move on tunneling down to the center of the Earth and detonating a whole lot of thermonuclear devices there. But once I'm done, I'll be right back here to help. The headmaster chuckled. Such a kidder! That's a wicked sense of humor you have. Right, AK agreed with a nod. Take it easy, Albus. He got the attention of everyone else who had been making sets, practicing lines and dance maneuvers, and all the rest of you. AK smiled happily and sprinted out of the staging area, contemplating just whose nuclear arsenal he felt like raiding. It was only the very next day that the headmaster received a massive crate marked lemon drops. It came with a note explaining, "Don't open these unless you really want them." AK was watching from his perch in the treetops about a half-mile away in the Forbidden Forest as the massive mushroom cloud grew from what was once Hogwarts School of Ballet. He activated all the timers on bombs he'd put at the bottom of the Mariana Trench after he'd been magically digging for a few hours. He assumed it would be enough. As Hogwarts disappeared in a massive cloud of dust and mortar, he smiled as his dimensional portal just opened. He hopped away to a new world, wishing Hogwarts a happy goodbye. "You're free, little girl." Perhaps Kay just imagined it, but it sounded like the heavens whispered down to him, "Thanks, buddy." Wilfer's note. "This is one of 3 chapters that will feature 2 worlds, not just one. Some worlds just don't take as long for AK to get his business done, and often then he wants to get on out of there. But a chapter with less than 3,000 words is even too review. Whoosh for me. Some days you just want to burn down the office. AK is just lucky enough to be able to do that, since there's an infinite number of offices left. Perhaps a bit darker than some were expecting, but they won't all catch him on such a bad day. Review, tell me what you think. I've been pretty good about responding to all comments or questions.